Hello, this is the Tacks audio cast. My name is Cameron Pratt, and I will be your host. This week, the subject is dopamine. Abstract. Dopamine, a critical neurotransmitter in reward processing and motivation, has become dysregulated in the digital age, where continuous, low-effort stimulation is readily available. The pervasive influence of algorithm-driven platforms has restructured human behavior, fostering patterns of compulsive engagement that bypass traditional mechanisms of fulfillment. This piece addresses implications of sustained dopaminergic activation through consumption of digital and physical vices alike, along with the erosion of absence as a motivational driver and the broader consequences for psychological resilience and agency. As humanity navigates an era of synthetic gratification, reconciling technological advancement with the fundamental principles of neurochemistry is imperative to preserving the autonomy and purpose in an increasingly consumption-driven society. Introduction. Ignition. Our subconscious revels in it. In our modern society, a cascade of primers assault our senses every hour, every minute, every second. We are hooked into the digital machine. Fed in tiny increments, the need for this hit of feel-good has been fine-tuned to keep us engaged and, moreover, obedient to the driving machinations of advertisement. We are rewarded for our attention and succumb to addiction, desperately seeking out the next source and abusing the profound brilliance of modern technology for a base purpose. Filled with pleasures and failures alike, by what measure do we hold ourselves accountable to the human experience? Does the traditional sense thereof even exist anymore? And if a species continues along this path of consumption, how can we orient ourselves to a healthy relationship with it? The answer to all of these begins with an understanding of the neurotransmitter that fuels our drives to engage. Let's get down to them. The brass tacks on dopamine. High on dope. Neurochemistry dominates our daily routine. The signals sent betwixt our gray matter are what drive us forward, or in some cases, hold us back. As creatures bound to the biological laws of self-preservation and procreation, our bodies incentivize us to work towards sufficing those instincts, modulating a relationship of purpose and pleasure within our inner being. Enter dopamine, our personal hype man. As both a hormone and neurotransmitter, it floods our system with a sense of satisfaction and pleasure when achieving the goals baked into our biology. We internalize these efforts as worthwhile, and the imprint thereof drives us to pursue them again as a source of satisfaction. This is not to be confused with serotonin, which deals more with general disposition. WebMD has serotonin is connected to happiness and mood, where dopamine is associated with feelings of reward and motivation. Thankfully, the 21st century allows us a myriad of ways to access this wealth of satisfaction. Gyms provide a space to improve physical fitness and improve upon an unspoken quotient in finding a suitable mate. Dating apps supplement this by making potential partnerships accessible where they otherwise wouldn't be. Just as well, the online job marketplace develops our own agency of purpose by granting us space to pursue our own hierarchy of needs. Beyond our physical capacity to move, everything is a tap away in the digital age. Indeed, it has never been easier to access the levers that affect the output of dopamine. Every like from a social media post, every job application we've submitted, every match on a dating app. It all floods our zone of consciousness as a neurochemical jackhammer that we can't get enough of. With the average person now engaged with social media over 2 hours a day, these snap-second hits of satisfaction have given way towards a generation of people engulfed by a nearly constant stream of dopamine. It is no surprise then that brain rot was the 2024 Oxford Word of the Year. Per the Oxford University Press, brain rot is defined as the supposed deterioration of a person's mental or intellectual state, especially viewed as the result of overconsumption of material, now particularly online content, considered to be trivial or unchallenging. Also, is something characterized as likely to lead to such deterioration. Within this saturated media state, passive scrolling has evolved into a machine that seems to coax out our primal intrigue. By keeping our nervous system in a constant state of reward, everything else, that is, real life, feels unrewarding, drawing us back to the comfort of stimulative cyberspace. A much-needed, quiet place. To be clear, dopamine itself is not addictive. It is a naturally occurring hormone purpose-driven to facilitate patterns of purposeful existence. Now, humanity was not constructed to receive such a constant flood of stimuli. Our inner monologue of, this feels good, this feels right, I want more of this. It was tempered by our next meal, next paycheck, or next sexual rendezvous. Dopamine was a measured source of validation, followed by a natural come-down period, urging us to see the next source. In contrast, today we find ourselves with the ability to be validated on a nearly continuous basis. Our capacity to be engaged in dopamine-rich resources is limitless, especially in the technological age. As such, little to no room is left to hold space for periods of lack. Once a routine part of the process, dopamine deficit states have only intensified proportionally to the level of dopaminergic activity we undertake. As a consequence, we feel anxious, frustrated, depressed, and lacking of worth as we are drawn away from our devices. Humanity, then, has found the means to dissociate itself from absence, our own capacity to sit in discomfort marred by a constant stream of validation at our fingertips. Long past are the days in which boredom became an incentive to produce or play. Nay, the modern era has provided us the means by which to consume unendingly. Boredom, such as it is, has been cured. And technology, in offering a method of facilitation, has at the same time generated a path of least resistance to pleasure. Among social media platforms, TikTok exemplifies the modern addiction to continuous engagement. With the introduction of its For You algorithm, the app has developed a way to showcase the content each person wishes to see. Not just a tool for bookmarking or favoriting, the act of collecting and propagating of what happens to be on your mind has sunk its claws into millions of Americans, approximately 1/3 of them. In relatively short order, the app has found the means by which to tailor content that resonates with every single one of its users. As you might imagine, this algorithmic content does wonders for activating our dopaminergic system. Whereas other apps like Facebook and Instagram bracket you into a demographic bucket of paid advertisement, TikTok's focus is you. Your feed is unlike all others. It feels personal, unique, and comfortable. We are rewarded for being ourselves with even more content that feeds into itself. Effectively, TikTok offers us validation to our own sense of self-interest, supercharging the flood of dopamine into our system and making our app if not the predominant source of satisfaction in modern society. All the more detrimental, then, is it for a potential TikTok ban to go into place, with the original 90-day extension for the app to remain in the United States set to expire on April 5th. Americans are once again scrambling to save their favorite app. The politics of origin and ownership aside, what a ban on TikTok does represent is a vast dopamine deficit state that would affect millions of Americans. For those that register a dependency or addiction with social media, this would be akin to cutting off their supply cold turkey. Yes, other apps exist, but none with the propensity to do what TikTok does best with its algorithm. In fairness, a ban might be a good thing insofar as granting space towards reorienting the relationship with dopamine. However, said ban for this measure might miss the point entirely. In and of itself, social media and other apps are nothing to decry. They serve value in entertainment, education, and social connection. As consumers, humanity bears the responsibility of tempering their usage thereof as a means of validation. Perhaps then the removal of such a force of coalescence might be just what is needed for people to step back and invest that energy into something more beneficial to their lives. Yet, at the same time, what power of agency is actively gained by removal in lieu of discipline? Ban or no, TikTok is a lens by which to understand the permeative nature of ease of satisfaction on our reward and motivation center. Along with the cohort of other social medias and digital spaces, it has wiped away a staple of what it has meant to be human: having nothing to do. Without boredom as a motivational driver, what then sits behind the wheel of the psyche? By prioritizing consumption over creation, we've become dependent on dopamine surges never meant to be constant. With everything being a reward, nothing actually feels rewarding. By holding space for lack, validations can exist in a manner befitting the natural state of the human condition, one where dopamine can be our mentor instead of our dealer. In so doing, this space allows us to diffuse any external influence and act within our own energy. The synthetic revolution. Considering this relationship between creation and creator, it is possible that we have outpaced ourselves as our species. Certainly, our biology is not accustomed to the digital age. True enough, every bit of modern technology would be akin to magic a few hundred years ago. Access to the world is quite literally in the palm of our hands. With it at our fingertips, is it even possible to find harmony with our biological wiring? Fundamentally, technology is an extension of the Homo sapiens as a species. That is, a modern modality of our existence. At the same time, the ability to create has also subverted evolutionary Darwinism, natural selection, by offering streamlined ways of life. As such, our innate ability to create has granted dominion over the world as we know it, adjusting food, climate, and resources to suit the needs of a given population. And while beneficial to our continued presence on this planet, the human capacity to create has also in and of itself created a dependency on these extensions. The natural question then is, what happens to humanity if this technology fails? To be fair to our own cause, humanity is an impressively resilient species. We've survived before the time of the digital age, and there are enough post-apocalyptic storylines that we've concocted to convince ourselves that, yes, we would be okay in a world removed from our digital space. All the same, rapidly as we are approaching a space where the line between organic and synthetic is beginning to break down. Bionics, neural interfaces, portable HUDs, all of it and more continues to interlace our daily lives into the digital space. Part of the solution is simple: don't let the technology break down. Easier said than done, sure. Our bodies naturally repair themselves. Our technology doesn't. For progress to proceed unabated, so too must solutions be engineered to ensure sustainable quality and usability. In lieu of this, humanity has to face some music and reconcile the fault lines that exist between our biology and what can be spawned from it. Dopamine, such as it is, allows us a glimpse into what can happen when a synthetic overture takes precedent beyond our natural capacities. Social media, sex, drugs, each of these has the capacity to be a dopaminergic gateway towards addiction, providing an easy fix that sends a signal for our brain to release the motivational hormone. As creatures who routinely target the path of least resistance, it isn't a difficult measure to see why these addictions occur. But by that same measure, can we also understand that, in temperance, every single one of these things can be beneficial? Social media educates us. Sex and partnerships allow for intimacy and community. And drugs can help find balance when our brains don't feel like playing nice. Our pleasures don't have to be our vices. They feel good for a reason. We feel rewarded and motivated for a reason. Dopamine is our friend, signaling us that in some way we are satisfying the core principles of our biology. Yet, in a world where our inventions are circumventing the standard practices of fulfillment, it can be all too easy to validate these impulses with a like, a swipe, or a hit. Perhaps then we aren't ready for the digital age, as our bodies still find codependence rather than coexistence with our technology. On the other hand, it's not unreasonable to posit that our creations and integration thereof are the next stage of our evolution. Let's be clear, technology and the digital space are powerful, wonderful things, and barring something unforeseen, this is the world we will live in moving forward. Therefore, it is the task of humanity to marry the organic and synthetic worlds in a way that satisfies the ambition of our biology without sacrificing our purpose for the sake of ease. Don't forget to breathe. In a world of consumption, dopamine can be our guiding star. If society is willing to invert the draw of external forces holding dominion over us into tools rather than crutches, that is. Our brains, though we may take umbrage with them at times, hold our best interests in mind. Cultivating, or recultivating, such as it is, this relationship between mind and body and purpose has taken a back seat to forces outside our own sphere of influence. To assure our own agency, bringing these forces within ourselves, integrating in a way that holds space for the pleasures that dopamine was meant to fuel, can ignite a multitude of potential successes not yet seen in the digital age. Beyond cyberspace, so too must humanity have the courage to sit in the discomfort of absence. A world without pain erodes pleasure to the same degree. An appreciation for something cannot exist without acknowledgement of its disappearance, or opposite nature. With temperance, humanity can accept that there is a desire to find and take the path of least resistance. That's okay. Who are we as creatures of pattern recognition not to do so? Our apps, our pleasures, our behaviors, all of them are ours and ours alone. As such, for our own well-being and that of others, we must take care that they serve us, and not the other way around. Health isn't easy. It takes patience, dedication, and most importantly, kindness. Delivering it unto ourselves paves a pathway forward that holds space for our discontent, something we seem to have a penchant for losing in this day and age. In short order, our evolution as a species has given way to devolutionary practices. If we are to move forward and break free from this vice, we must have courage to turn inward and reward ourselves with the prospect of fulfilling our own motivations. Dopamine can be our trusted ally in this venture. We merely have to have the strength to listen to it. With the age of access already upon us, humanity bears responsibility towards its own self-interest. By our own hand, we have evolved past this measure. Maybe it happened too quickly, yet by that same token, do we possess the faculties to come forth with a solution that may bring us harmony in a biosynthetic union? Perhaps the true test of progress is not how quickly we advance, but whether we can adapt with wisdom. If we are to harmonize with the systems we have built, we must ask, do we still shape technology, or does it now shape us? That's all for today. Thank you for tuning in to Brass Tacks Dopamine. You can find us at all things at Tacks Media, that's Tacks Media, on TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky.